Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Buffington, and this is Technical Earth Syndicate, Episode 5. How you guys doing?
I'm good.
Right?
Awesome. Today should be a really good show. We're going to be talking about Call of Duty Black Ops 2, EA trash talking on Twitter, and what was it, the Skylon space plane?
Yep.
Awesome. This is going to be a very interesting show. And also, we got a few extra stuff, upcoming games. No reviews this time, but we do have some of our favorite apps that we've been using this week. All right, let's go ahead and dive right in. Today, or this week, they just released a trailer for the new Call of Duty Black Ops 2.
Surprising absolutely nobody.
Yeah, it did not surprise me, but it did surprise me on the way they're handling it. They actually seem like they're really working with the storyline a little bit. I mean, just watching the trailer, it kind of made me get a little pump. It's futuristic. It's apparently set in, what is it, 2025? I think it is.
Yeah.
It's in the future sometime. And they got recon drones everywhere.
Yeah, 2025, and it's basically supposed to be about our wars are being waged by robots mostly, not humans anymore. I mean, it's completely jumped on, and that's kind of how it is today.
Yeah,
how we're kind of going to. It seemed pretty cool from what they're saying. They have a lot of big name characters in it. It's supposed to be kind of like you're still going to be playing as a person, not a robot. You know, we don't want to allude anybody to thinking that it's going to be you're playing as a robot or anything like that. You're actually playing as a normal person. I think you're playing as Mason's son or something from Black Ops.
This is a direct sequel to the first Black Ops, and there's actually going to be two timelines that you play through in the game. Like one of them is going to be in the 80s where you play as Alex Mason from the first game, and then the other timeline is going to be in 2025 and you play as Mason's son.
Cool.
So that should be interesting.
Now, I know Alan hasn't played Black Ops. The storyline...
my brother had it. I played a little bit of it.
Right. The storyline was actually very, very good. It was very bizarre. By far, it wasn't, fact. It was complete fiction. But it was a pretty good storyline. Even all you Call of Duty haters out there, you just got to realize that, a storyline can be good, in gameplay. It doesn't really matter.
And I've noticed that it's mainly the Treyarch games that had the really good stories.
Oh, yeah.
Besides Infinity Ward.
I mean, I started. I don't really like the Modern Warfare storylines as much as I do with the World of War, Black Ops. Those are the only two they made. Now, Call of Duty 3 that they made was not very good in my opinion, but it was okay.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, so far, I mean, I'm pretty excited about it, and I know it's the same old stuff over and over, but at least we know that the storyline will be decent as long as they extend it out to at least 6 to 8 hours.
Yeah,
of storyline.
I mean that's the problem I always have with all these, Call of Duty and all the other ones is just the length of the storyline. I like the single player storyline.
Right.
It's not all about multiplayer for me,
Right.
and that's why I don't always pick them up because those storylines are usually pretty short.
Yeah.
So
the Black Ops is actually surprisingly longer than most of the Call of Duty games.
Yeah, it is.
Same thing with World at War was actually pretty long as well, and adding that zombies mode into Black Ops 2, which they just said that they are gonna put zombies in again. I'm wondering what they're gonna do with it because they can't just the last two games have done pretty much the same thing with zombies. I'm wondering how they're gonna handle this time. It probably is going to be relatively the same, just like the multiplayer is going to be relatively the same.
Well, they're saying that on the multiplayer aspect, they're trying to make slight changes. They want to. They're saying they're pulling back the creative class and the kill streaks and that sort of thing, and kind of looking over them and seeing what they can change up.
From the looks of the trailer, the graphics don't seem bad. They actually seem pretty good and pretty modern today.
Yeah, they seem to have kind of upgraded their graphics, especially from Modern Warfare 2 and 3 looked about the same as Modern Warfare 1. So it's nice to see a bit of an upgrade there.
And everyone knocking on, an engine that's almost how many years old? 8. It doesn't matter. I mean, look at Quake. It lasted until 2005. I mean, with most of their games, when it came out, and or Quake 3 Arena, and they actually, a lot of the modders made the graphics look 10 times better than what they did with original Quake 3. So, I mean, if as we progress on with Call of Duties, I really hope they do make a new engine eventually, which I'm guessing for the next generation of consoles, but we'll see. What else did we see that like on multiplayer?
Horsies.
Horses.
Well, that's during the actual campaign.
Still, it's horsies. I want to ride a horsey.
On the campaign with the trailer, they showed you in the desert riding with a team on horseback, which was really crazy. I've never seen a Call of Duty do that before. So.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the 80s missions where you play as Alex Mason.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
like
it seems
Arabia style.
I mean, I saw that. I was like, okay, I'm sold. Horses, all right.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty excited about this story because it was written from the ground up by David Goyer, who wrote the Dark Knight and Batman Begins.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he also wrote like a little bit of Black Ops as well. So
see, that's one thing that Call of Duty always has, even if it has repetitive gameplay, and as does every first-person shooter. But they do have the storyline. They have the gripping cinematic story. I mean, the AAA story that you'll get from a movie, and it gives you that, and it's really cool. Even if it's not that long, they still deliver on that. Now with the multiplayer, it's a hit or miss with people. Some people actually just play this game for the storyline only. I met some people on the last release of Modern Warfare 3 that actually said that they didn't touch multiplayer. They just played it for the storyline. And I thought that was cool. You know,
yeah.
I thought that someone was devoted to that and actually wanted to play it just for storyline, even if it was a little bit, short. So we'll see how they go on. The release date for it is going to be, November 13th, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to be on Xbox, PS3, and PC. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be Xbox exclusive maps a month early, just like it has been with all the games.
Yeah.
They have not released any more information about what they're doing, especially with zombies or multiplayer. I mean, they could just all of a sudden say, "Hey, we made a new engine for the multiplayer, and we're patching to
fantastic.
The game." Yeah, it really would. I mean, that would be the breaking moment of. Some of these people saying, well, I'll never play a Call of Duty because it's all the same. Maybe they'll be like, oh, cool, it's a new multiplayer engine. Maybe it's better.
Yeah. Something I'm pretty excited about is more during the campaign, this Strike Force mode. It's kind of like, they're not multiplayer missions. It's all single player stuff, but there's different missions that you get during the campaign, and you won't be able to play all of them in one run. So there's a lot of adding replay value to the game, which is nice. But let's see.
Weren't they saying something about like a sandbox mode kind of in the game a little bit?
Yeah, I think there was something about that. But the Strike Force mode, you have like these missions that you pick during the game, and if your character dies in the Strike Force mission, that'll tie into the main story in the campaign.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so a lot of the choices that you will make will affect the ending. So there's going to be, it seems like, multiple endings and different story branches that you can go off of.
That's completely different from what normal Call of Duties do.
It is definitely a first for the series.
So the Strike Force teams are not they're not the main characters of the game. They're just like
no, they're going to be random other characters that are not really involved with the story, except on the sidelines.
Wow.
That's actually going to be really cool. I did not know about that.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder if they really are going to do a complete restart of what they're doing with the game and making it so everyone wants to play it, and it still has a lot of the classic elements of Call of Duty, but it adds in all these new things that are just going to be crazy. I mean, what if they add like a multiplayer not only with zombies? What if they do like a zombie campaign or something like that? Like that would be cool.
It would.
And I mean, I've been wanting kind of like maybe an experience like that instead of just horde mode, just doing kind of like a zombie campaign where you get to see the other side of that story, because they still haven't completed the storyline for the zombie campaign. Believe it or not, there was a storyline for their games from World at War, Black Ops, and I'm pretty sure Black Ops 2. There was a zombie storyline.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, you played as like the same characters in most of the little maps, didn't you?
Yeah, except for the
last one, which had the
no, the last one. Yeah, they had who was in it?
Nixon and Kennedy, and there
Yeah,
was
yeah, yeah. There's a few
I
other
want to say
ones.
George Bush, but I'm not
No, no.
sure.
No, it was Kennedy, Nixon. It was what's his name?
And then they had George Romero in there, and the girl
Yeah,
from Buffy. What's her name?
yeah, all the horror movie icons. They had
Yeah.
Sarah Michelle Gellar. They had
Yep.
Robert Englund, who I always played as, big Freddy Krueger fan.
I mean, who knows what they're going to do with it? I really hope they do something phenomenal instead of repeating the same stuff, but I'm still okay with that.
Yeah.
We
Call me
just like
simple.
killing zombies, right?
Yeah. Call me simple, but, whatever.
Well, with the Call of Duty franchise, you're always going to have the naysayers, myself included most of the time. But
Mhm.
apparently, one of the guys from EA, what is
Project
he?
manager.
Yeah, the global project
Project.
manager, Kevin O'Leary. He made
Mhm.
a kind of a backhanded tweet on his little Twitter page. It says, "Poor Black Ops 2, you look tired. You should take a year off and rest." So, yeah, this is not really something you normally see from professional gaming industry people. So,
Yeah.
kind of a sad look
I
at what's going
I don't
on
want to say we
now.
don't see it from professional people. We see this kind of stuff all the time.
Oh, we do.
People are always doing this. It's just it's childish. It really is.
It really is, and you see it more from game companies recently that are trying to attack each other because who's the bigger bang, and Activision, who made Call of Duty, or their publishing company that made Call of Duty, they've talked trash too, and it's just kind
hmm
of it's. I think on their level they're a little more professional than EA because recently EA's just been attacking Activision nonstop with just crap like this, and it's to me it's a little annoying, and very unprofessional, especially since you have your actual developers and they're not the developers, they're the publishers trying to talk trash to other
Yeah.
companies. And what does that say about the developers? What, they're not really saying those things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Back
So
back when I used to be a sales associate selling electronics, they always taught us to respect your competition. You don't have
mhm.
to like them, but you need to respect them.
That was
And
all.
this is all disrespectful. You got to respect your competition, even if you don't like them. If you think what they make is trash, you don't say it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just sad.
It's annoying to the fact that back in the 90s or even in the 80s when gaming really got started with arcade, everyone kind of worked together and helped each other out and were very nice and like, oh hey, your game's pretty cool, hey, you may want to work on this, hey, you want to do this. I mean, it wasn't about competition as much as it is today. Now it's just about who can say the worst thing possible
Yeah.
about that next company.
It definitely wasn't like that amongst like the developers and stuff. It was mostly
No.
around, the consumers. Oh, my Super Nintendo is better than your Sega Genesis.
Right.
And that was really the most you saw with it. Like nowadays with this sort of
Yeah.
thing, it really doesn't
Uh,
help. I would like to see this console war or this sort of thing.
Political war agenda with each company attacking each other end. It needs to end. It
Like
needs
amongst the
to.
companies and with
I want
the
peace,
gamers
man.
Yeah,
themselves. I would really like to see that go away.
I just
It's
it's just like they're spouting off about certain stuff, and it irritates me. Both companies irritate me when they do this kind of stuff. It's
Why
just
can't we all be friends?
why can't you respect this person's game? Why can't you respect this person's game? Why does it need to be competition? Because it's based off of money, and that's the generalization of
Yep.
today. Everything's based on money, so you gotta be a dick. You gotta be angry. You gotta be, hey, your game sucks because mine is better, and I want to make more money. That doesn't need to be part of society today. That just makes the consumers a little more angry about just stuff that shouldn't be said.
yeah,
I
it's
don't
just
know.
adding fuel to the fire, and it
But
really doesn't
at
help
the
things
same
at all.
time, it's not always from the company though. You got to look at it that
Yeah.
way. A lot of times, it's these people that become too mired in their own company and too loyal to their own company to the point where they start saying things they shouldn't be saying. A lot of companies have media blackouts and stuff where you're not supposed to say this kind of stuff because it can open the company up to liability.
Yeah.
And so technically, he probably shouldn't have ever said this. And more than likely, if all is fair, he should probably lose his job, honestly. I mean, I hate
Yeah.
to say it, but he
Yeah.
should.
It happens with EA. I don't think he should lose his job over a tweet like that. I it happens a lot with EA. I don't know what's with their company, why they should act so childish like that. And like I said, Activision does it too. But I see them a little more professional, because they have to handle Blizzard, they have to handle all the co-companies with Activision themselves, so they kind of have to make everybody look good. But with EA, they kind of they work with BioWare, and they just spout off about whatever, or BioWare and whoever other companies that they're working with. They just don't care, So
Yeah. I mean, as much heat as Bobby Kotick catches, the CEO of Activision, you really don't really see this sort of thing that much from any of Activision, to be honest.
yeah,
So, yeah.
it's and the fans need to realize that it's not all about who's better, whatever. I talked about this before on another podcast. It's like, if your game's cool, whatever, just there's no need to be bashing on
No.
Call of Duty fans. There's no need to be bashing on Battlefield people or whatever. I play both. I play both. Alan and I own a copy of Battlefield 3 on Origin, and it's just, I don't know, but guys, just, you should chill out. Just realize that these companies are kind of leading us to a bitter society. Sometimes with the things they say, like this, like, poor Black Ops 2, you look tired. No, that's
That's inappropriate.
there's already a bunch of Battlefield people like, oh, look at that, yeah, Call of Duty is so horrible, and you would think a lot of these people are children saying this, but they're not. They're adults. They're adults that are just like, oh, Call of Duty sucks because it's Call of Duty, and vice versa. Battlefield sucks because I can't understand it, or I think it sucks because it's too pretty. No, I don't know. It really doesn't. It doesn't matter. Now, we had a tech piece that Alan wants to go over. It's actually really interesting. Why don't you go ahead and dive into that, Alan?
Yep, over in Britain, our good friends across the water. They had a company out there that created an engine they're calling the Skylon space plane. That's what the plane is. Got an engine for it. It's supposed to go from atmosphere to space in one stage. They don't have anything that's going to fall off and fall back to Earth when it's spent or anything like that. It's all one self-contained unit. They can take off like a plane and go to space, and it's really cool. They're right now, what they're doing is they're testing the heat exchanging part on it, which is like the most important part for it, because as you go higher up in the atmosphere, the air gets thinner, so you have to have better air intake, one.
Right.
And two, the faster you go, your hitting speed's like 5 times the speed of sound. That air creates a lot of friction, creates a lot of heat, and so you got to cool that air down to get the jet engine to work. But of course, when it hits space, it's going to switch to its own internal air and be able to still do a hydrogen oxygen fueled burst in space.
So do you think that they're going to be outsourcing this to the governments and the NASA and our militaries and stuff like that, like or actually some of the private companies are doing commercial and private space flight?
Yeah, well, this engine has been around for quite a while.
Right.
I read something that said about the 80s they've been trying to work on it and solve its little problems here and there. Right now, they're at a point where they believe that if the current tests they're doing for the heat exchanger go well, it will be conceivable, it will feasible, it will work, and then they got to put it all together. And at that point, when they're able to say, yes, this heat exchanger is good, they hope that they'll get more funding from the British government and other type organizations. I don't personally see it coming over here to NASA. It might be sold to NASA, or NASA might take the technology afterwards. But at the very beginning, though, it at least is going to be mainly a British thing, because you know how countries like to keep stuff in-house.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's if you have a good invention like that, I mean, you might as well outsource it, especially for trying to get into space. And like we talked back into last podcast, we were talking about the space miners. What if this could help?
Oh yeah, this would be perfect, because what happens is when you come back into the atmosphere, the problem we've always had is our is our planes, or not our planes, but our shuttles and stuff like that. Our shuttles are basically, or shuttles we had are basically flying bricks.
Right.
I mean, they have barely no wings, barely no aerodynamic profile. They're bricks, and all they can do is really glide, and not very well at that.
Yeah.
So if this is an airplane, I mean, just think about it. Re-entering atmosphere, going right from, free floating space back to, floating on air, actually. That's perfect. And it runs on hydrogen and oxygen fuel. I mean, hydrogen. 70% of the Earth is water,
Right.
which, H2O, hydrogen atoms, right there.
And like we were saying in the last podcast as well, that they're planning on trying to mine water and different elements from the asteroid and everything like that as a fuel source. So maybe this could work with that, and that would help.
Yep. Yep.
Now, did you say that they were trying to maybe use it for actual commercial?
They're saying
flights.
if this engine
like
goes good enough, I think it was the Concorde jet. I could be wrong. It was that jet that Britain used to have that was supersonic and it was a passenger liner. Well, this thing is basically going along the same lines as that. Like I said, 5 times the speed of sound.
Right.
It would reduce the travel time to anywhere in the world to 4 hours.
That'd be awesome. I can go from Idaho to Australia in less than 4 hours.
Back home for dinner, right?
Yeah, I know, right?
And so the idea with that is it goes higher up where air resistance is less, and then it would go into its 5
Now,
times
how would that affect the passengers if they use that kind of technology?
Yeah, they're probably all going to have to wear like spacesuits and stuff.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, if you pressurize the cabin right and you're confident in the structural integrity of your plane, then shouldn't be a problem.
See, that's worrisome. I mean, just the structure of the planes in general, like sometimes can fall apart if
Well, I mean, honestly, you would never fly again if you look at some of the reports about how at least the American fleet is at right now. The point our planes are older. They're in some cases I want to say 20 to 30 years old, and they've been flown nonstop, maybe 2 to 3 times a day. These things are rigid. They're not like flexible. When you have rigid objects that take movement and things like that, it causes structural cracks and things like that, and then they just repair them with a little bit of paint and like a Band-Aid, and then they send them back up to fly again. And it's pretty scary. It really is.
A lot of companies have been getting in trouble for that recently too.
Yeah.
I mean, bad trouble. I mean, really bad trouble. So maybe we can take a hint and we need to start working on a new way of flying, and maybe this engine could help out. So
might not be all good though. I mean, it's pretty bad. When the ears pop when you're landing in a regular flight. Just imagine coming down from space.
Well, that's where the pressure comes in. If you can regulate that air, that popping of your ears comes from differential in pressure.
Right.
And if you have the correct regulation systems in place, it shouldn't be a problem. The only reason why your ears pop on a plane is because they don't really spend all the money to get the I would think the best possible pressurization system. So they just pressurize bare minimum and let you suffer.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
But I mean, hey, if this leads to commercial spaceflight, where what if we have like a colony space station or a colony on the moon, whatever, back and forth? This could be awesome if it works right. But we are still probably years away from them actually placing this into anything. But
yeah, it's still got it once it gets finished with this initial test of the the air intake temperature thing. They got to actually test the other systems. So they did say this engine is very, very, very loud, and they even had to like spray air in the outtake just to make sure it would lower the sound level of it, because they were in a place where they had sound laws. So I mean, it'd be pretty interesting if they don't ever fix the sound problem, and so you just hear it like half, a couple miles away taking off.
Well, if it's launching into space real quick, you're not going to hear anything anyways after a while. It's just going to be a quick launch and then directly.
It takes off
space.
like a plane, so it's not going to be a straight up like everything else.
Oh, I know.
Like,
I know.
It's just going to be a gradual go. But it does go at 5 times the speed of sound. I like saying that. That's awesome.
Space.
And space. Gives me hope that one day soon we'll get back into the space race. Like, it's woefully underfunded right now.
5 years ago, I was very doubtful that we would actually, be talking about half of this stuff, and a lot of these, companies saying, hey, we're going to be doing this now. I mean, in the next 5 years, heading towards 2020 as well. I mean, we're going to see so much cool stuff go on. I mean,
assuming the world doesn't end this year.
Yeah, it's true. But, if you want proof that it's not, you go look up Neil deGrasse Titan.
Hey, I am looking forward to the space hippies.
I know, man. I want some. I want that. Like, I want to jam out with them like Spock did.
Oh no. Man, that's gonna be cool. All right, well, we got some reviews, or not reviews, but we got some upcoming games. No reviews this week. None of us actually played anything or beat anything this week. We didn't buy any new technology or anything. So,
Kind of wait 15th. I think the 15th is next day. We're gonna have all kinds of crazy stuff.
The 15th, Diablo. El Diablo's here.
Hey, like a little kid in the candy store. Diablo.
I am so excited. Anyways, okay, we got upcoming games. The original Deus Ex coming to PlayStation Network, apparently. Well, that's the word, anyways.
Yeah, should be fun.
No more information on that. I mean, no release dates or what they're doing with it. If it's going to be the PC port, if it's going to have trophies or whatever.
Even the PC port with enhanced graphics. I mean,
ooh, yes.
that would be.
I mean, I have that on my PC anyways, but hey, I would probably pick it up just because.
Yeah. Something I'm pretty excited about is the PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. It's basically Smash Brothers with PlayStation characters.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. They've only announced 6 characters so far. They got Kratos from God of War. They have Colonel Raddick from Killzone 2. You fight him at the end of the game. Yeah. They got Fat Princess, which is kind of weird.
Isn't that going to be like PSP though, or whatever?
No, that's going to be on PS3.
PS3.
I think it's also going to be on PS Vita, but no word of that yet. I think they're just going for PS3 yet.
Yeah, they've also got Sly Cooper, which is pretty cool. Parappa the Rapper. I'm really excited to play as him.
Dude, they just need to make a new game of that. They need to make a new game of him.
Parappa the Rapper.
I would buy it.
Yeah. And then they've got Sweet Tooth from Twisted Metal.
Yep.
And of course, there's going to be more characters coming out pretty soon. They're going to announce them, and should be fun.
I'm going to laugh if Snake's on there, because, I mean, Snake's on Smash Brothers as well.
Yeah, but, I think they've said that, third-party characters aren't, completely off the table. So we could very well see Snake or maybe even Final Fantasy characters if Square Enix would be, down for that.
See, Final Fantasy has their own fighting game. They've been in development for, a couple years now?
That's true. We got their Dissidia games and all that stuff.
Yeah, keep hearing rumors about it coming out, then it never does, and it's like... we'll see what the characters lineup is. I mean, if they have Cloud, if they have Snake on there, Nintendo can't really say anything because it's Konami's character.
Yeah.
So.
Depends on the contract,
right? And Nintendo doesn't have contracts for everybody. They just kind of Now, if they completely ripped off the Snake from Smash Bros., there would be issues. But who knows what's going to be? How many characters did they say they're going to have on that?
I don't think did they say a number? I don't think they really did. But I'm sure we'll see, we'll probably see Nathan Drake from Uncharted, I'm sure, and Jack and Daxter, and
how about Lara Croft? That's a classic PlayStation icon, and they're supposed to be doing 3 generations of PlayStation icons or whatever. So
wow, that's a lot of characters.
I know. I mean, what if it turns into like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 character
Bandicoot.
list,
Yeah.
Crash Bandicoot, I mean, that would be really
Ratchet,
cool.
Clank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know.
They could have just all these exclusive characters join in, and it would be probably one of the funnest Melee games for, PlayStation.
Yeah.
And before anybody starts saying, they're just copying off of Smash Brothers. Well, everybody has their carbon copy of a Melee game, and it's okay because it's a fighting game. Who cares?
It's not a ripoff, it's an homage.
Yep. they're it's kind of a love letter to say thank you, Nintendo, for getting a good idea and letting us, probably do it as well. And you can't do anything about it, so please don't sue us.
Copying is
Yeah.
the greatest form of flattery, or something like that. I know that was saying.
Now, there's a new game called Skullgirls out on the PlayStation Network, I believe it is right now.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but apparently it's coming to PC later this year.
It's coming to PC. Isn't it a fighter game?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a very I don't really know too much about it,
Yeah.
but I saw some screenshots that looked pretty. So,
Yeah.
and then they just announced, along with the Kinect feature for Xbox with Skyrim, is the Skyrim DLC Dawn Guard. Isn't that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Going to be coming out sometime this summer. So, and that's going to be for Xbox exclusive at first. So we're guessing a month, and then it's going to come out to PS3 and PC later. So,
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no details really anything more about it other than it's Dawn Guard. And it had a pretty cool looking picture. Guy was looking all kind of angry, and there was like lights in the background, like the dawn was coming or something. I don't know.
and there's rumors of them adding like crossbows to Skyrim, which that would be cool. And that's all I really got out of
Yeah.
it.
Some good news for Vita owners. They got the Metal Gear Solid HD collection coming out. They're saying it should be coming out in June.
Minus the PSP game. What is it? Portable Ops? No, what was it? Peace Walker. Peace Walker. They cut out Peace Walker from the PlayStation.
Did they?
Vita
Is it just the
copy.
2 and 3 then?
Yes, it's just 2 and 3 because they decided they didn't need to sell a PlayStation portable game on the PS Vita with the collection.
Either way, it's Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 on a handheld. You can't really go wrong with that.
Right. And if you're upset about Peace Walker, just buy it on PS3. And if you don't have a PS3, don't worry about it. It is, all three of those games are fun, but it's a little disappointing they don't have, Peace Walker on there. But hey, whatever. And I just found out that Guild Wars 2, we're all excited for it, all of us. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh baby. Oh baby. GameStop has leaked a release date. Now that's probably not official since, the company did not say anything about this release date, but GameStop has it listed on their site for the pre-order, June 26, 2012.
Yeah. But still, take it with a grain of salt because GameStop is pretty notorious for having their little placeholder dates. I mean, they've had they've had where you could reserve Duke Nukem Forever since the late '90s when they were first about to come out, and it only just came out a couple of years ago. So,
I do honestly believe Guild Wars 2 will be released this summer.
It'll definitely be this year, this summer, but the specific date.
They have to get it out before what's it called the new WoW expansion and everything like that. So I mean that's exciting news for Guild Wars fans right now. If you pre-order it off their site, and also you think GameStop and a few other places, you can have exclusive beta access. I haven't done it yet because I just don't have the money. So I mean that's cool news if you want to do beta weekends and everything.
Yeah.
And no reviews today. We're sorry. We didn't have time to play anything this week.
Yeah, I had finals, and it's just,
Yeah.
Well, I've got a slight review. Not really, but I picked up the Seventh Guest on the iPad. Like, has it been out a while? Or
Seventh Guest on the iPad has been out for a while. That was a 90s game. 90s point-and-click adventure. I think kind of like Riven and Mist kind of style.
Right, but has it been out on the iPad for a while? I mean,
it has been on the iPad, I think, for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
They
just had it for free the other day, so I went and snatched that up. It is definitely kind of difficult. Like it's mainly a puzzle game. You go through the big house and solve all these puzzles to figure out what's going on, and it's difficult. A lot of the puzzles don't really make a lot of sense.
I picked it up recently as well. I mean, for being free, and then I played it a long time ago on my buddy's computer. And I mean, that game was hard back then. It was really fun. It was a classic.
Yeah, and it is definitely it's dated. So if you put it up against a graphical powerhouse like Infinity Blade 2, and that kind of thing bothers you, you're going to be kind of disappointed with it. But otherwise, it is definitely a decent game. It's worth looking into.
Oh, yeah. And an app I actually downloaded recently just because of my interest in playing Dungeons & Dragons again with a couple of my buddies here. It's called I4E. It is a character sheet that you can fully customize on your iPad. So no need for a paper or whatever character sheet when you're playing.
Eraser and constantly erasing things.
And you can edit it as you go, and it sets everything up and adds everything up. It's really cool. There's no dice roller on it or anything like that. You still have to use your standard dice roller. There's a couple of character sheets out there on the App Store that have a dice roller within the character sheet as well, but you have to kind of fill out the information completely. And also with this app, you can connect it with Wizards of the Coast Dungeons and Dragons subscription that you get all these character books and all this other stuff, and you can actually have it fill in your character sheet, and you can import your file from their site onto that app. So it's really cool. But I mean, if you don't have a subscription, you have to do it all by hand. You have to do all that, which is fine, which I've been doing, and it's cool. So I'm all ready for my next game, and I'm a level 5 ranger. I'm a nerd.
What dungeon master are you?
But it's a cool app. So if anybody plays Dungeons and Dragons, it is a cool tablet app. They are working on a Android app currently, but right now their resources are kind of slim.
Yeah,
so
it's for iPhone too. It's not only for
iPad. It's iPhone as well. It's not as pretty on the iPhone, but it's there. It's cool.
It's there. Yeah, it's a little smaller.
So if you play D&D, recommend it. It's so cool. Awesome.
Yeah, it does seem really cool. Like, I haven't ever gotten into the D&D thing myself. I'm actually sort of vaguely interested in it. It's just a matter of getting the right group of people to play with. Myself, I'm not sure I would spend the $5 for what I could do on paper for free, but I'll definitely keep an eye on it. It'll probably go on sale, I'm sure.
Try 1 or 2 games with a piece of paper, then you'll love it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, honestly, it's one of the most annoying things in the world is you forget to erase something, and then something happens, and the DM goes, "Oh, you're supposed to be dead." No, I still have 3 life. You didn't erase anything. Oh.
Well, that comes to a conclusion of our show. You can all follow us on Twitter. Mine is mbufftes.
Mine's C-Stu-T-E-S.
And mine's A Great TS.
We're also on iTunes, so please subscribe to us. And also, we're on YouTube, so just look up. We haven't been really updating our video reviews, but we'll be doing that very shortly. It's just been a busy week. So we're also on Steam, so if you want to join our public group, just type in, Technical Earth Syndicate. And also, thank you for listening, and see you next Friday.
As we end today's episode, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Emerald Coast Productions. And to our listeners, if you have any rants, comments, or suggestions about the show, please email us at techearthsyndicate@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and remember, don't text while driving. The life you save could be mine. Until next time, this is Technical Earth Syndicate, signing off.